We are live. This is episode 88, Great 88, the double infinite if you turn it sideways. Outfluent, as always. This is Lyrical Ones. How are you doing?
Episode 88. Sending y'all well. Thank you for allowing me to be here, for sharing this time, space. Thanks to our producer for uh, keeping us on track, keeping us going forward through everything, through this interesting February where we got gaslighting and harassment on societal cultural display. And I am well. I am well because I am aware of the transitions that are happening in my life. I am on board and in agreement with those transitions. I am living a life within alignment while having an intention to set my priorities and desires um, on a path that intertwine. Um, I want those things to align as much as possible. My desires and my priorities. Sometimes they do. Sometimes my priorities are right lined up with my desires, and sometimes I desire things and my priorities don't match what I want. And I try to regularly adjust those things for the purpose of being purposeful. So yeah, it's February. We celebrating some things, and I think this is feel like Black History Month is being drowned out by nonsense. Um, and I appreciate the folks that are running programs and coordinating events that are focusing on celebrating Black history. Um, I especially appreciate the folks who are just living their everyday life, and I hope they know that they are creating Black history on a regular basis. Um, I appreciate episode 88 that we are here creating Black history. We are a part of Black history. And Cineo, how are you today, this wonderful day in February, in the middle of February, smack dab, well, not directly mathematically in the middle, but it's a full moon, so it's popping.
True, that is true. I did get a chance to see it as it was coming over. Uh, I was on the other side of San Bruno Mountain, so I saw it coming up on San Bruno Mountain. I was like, that's a beautiful sight to behold. I like how you started off talking about the display, though, the display, because it is something to be said about that, and
Bruh, bruh.
it's not shade or salt. It's accountability and responsibility, right? Like holding people accountable and being responsible to your community. I love I love art. I love creativity. I love the producers and contributors to society that give me the ability to just enjoy their perspective and their expertise, their skill set, and how they are able to create, and I'm able to enjoy. That isn't to say that we don't hold people accountable when they display behavior, regardless of the merit or money that they have, when they're creating harm. It's very easy for a person to believe because society will reinforce madness as truth, as honor, as justice. But remember, we once were slaves, right? Just as much as we once were warriors. It is it people can take what they want of it, but really look at it for what it is. If you look at Amendment 13 of the Constitution, I don't necessarily agree with it. I think it needs to be rectified just as much as I think we need to have Congress and Congress people and senators on a term system where they're not lifelong employees and representatives that benefit from their stature and status. I say all that to say this world has much nuance and much complexity. So I'm not one for ostracizing a person for making mistakes. I am one for calling it out and holding them accountable. Now, this is the thing. When it comes to social media, nuance, tonality, and everything else gets thrown out the window. And so I've been in a position of observance more than anything. And what I've observed now that we are here
We are
is
here.
yes, is we are coming out of right the beauty, the joy, the celebration of Valentine's Day, and the witnessing of how easy it is for people to lose sight of the platform or their impact on society and how they can harm people that they also say they care about and love, which helps reinforce people who don't have a grasp of love, right? I I got my heart on my head. And now seeing right the discourse on social media today where people all every which way can like manipulate what's being said to be their own campaign, their own meaning, their own narrative. And that applies, right, when you say people who, work out there and who are, you know, at service to people, to support people, me being one of them. I see how easy it is for people to say one thing, oh, you're so great at this. But as soon as it doesn't benefit them no more, then it's don't do that, right? Only when it's applicable to what the person, whoever is the person in the seat that is supposed to be honored or respected, right? If you're the supervisor or the leader or the manager, the CEO, right? It's great when it benefits you. But as soon as it doesn't serve you, right, it's no longer profitable. Then it's no, we don't need that, right? And it could be within a day, right? You could start at 10 and it'd be like, hey, that thing you did, incredible. And as soon as you get to two, you could do the same thing in a different context. And then all of a sudden, it's no longer valued. And I'm saying that to say that, yeah, I could value your music, I could value your movies, I could value your contributions to society. But I also can say that, yeah, I don't value witnessing harm that you create and the level of like trauma that you gonna put other innocent bystanders, especially children, through. Like, if it's one thing I know is that children did not they did not have any say in coming into this world. They did not have a voice to be asked, hey, do you want these people to be your parents? They are innocent bystanders to our adult actions, to our reactions, to our emotional state, to our ability or inability to govern ourselves. That's what I think about most. I don't gotta like you. I don't have to respect you, but I do honor the fact that you're here as a person. And if you're a child, I'm gonna reserve all kinds of support and levels of sensitivity to your ability to grow because we live in an environment where I done seen adults destroy children, break them down, right? Where now they're adults and they don't know which way is up. And now we witnessing an adult who has so much influence on society and culture where people antagonize and stoke the flames of their behavior as though it's justified when all they're doing is being complicit and compliant to something that is destructive, that is a continual that is the continuation of deficits, whether it's emotional, spiritual, or mental, physical. To say one thing and do another, don't be surprised when things don't work out in your favor, regardless of what your status is, regardless of how much money you make. Everybody can become a target in this society. And I'm not saying that as a threat from my perspective because I'm not one to do that. I'm not one, I hold you accountable. I'm not sitting here saying I'm one to take away what you've done. I'm not one to take away what you've built. But I am one to say, hey, if what you're doing is harmful, you got to figure out how to repair that harm and restore. And so, how I'm doing right now is when you say alignment, I feel that to a degree that I'm more than ever realizing I need to be in more alignment with myself, with my standards and morals, my ethics, because I'm seeing people compromise and devalue and dismiss and minimize all those things on the daily just for a check. On the daily, I'm saying I'm looking at a city right now that's about to be privatized to outside investment and outside interests. I live here. I love this place. I have given so much of myself to this place, and in every realm, whether it's housing, education, or whatever you want to call it, medical, legal, every layer is about to be privatized to interests that are for those who are of a different tax bracket altogether, the wealthy, right? Those who don't have no roots here, right? Just before we started, I was like, oh, your grandma could be from somewhere, but then where's your parent from? And then where do you come from? Where did you grow? Where did you get your roots at? How did you develop? Right? Because right now, the people they about to put in authority, a lot of them, they have no context of what came before. They have no awareness or understanding. And so as they continue to rip away the people who have been here, who are the building blocks of what people romanticize and idolize, right? Everybody has an idealized version of San Francisco. Well, that's not what San Francisco needs. How are you gonna tell people from San Francisco what they need when you ain't been here? So how I'm feeling, I'm alignment, warrior pose,
Mm,
child's pose,
all of it. Give me the
everything.
warrior. That warrior one though. Um, so it's interesting. I think about right now from what you said. I think about a balancing act. Right. I think about a tightrope walker. A tightrope walker expects the rope to move. Right. Tightrope walker expects the wind to blow. Tightrope walker knows that the surface that they're standing on is unstable and has spent time, invested time and in that environment on a regular basis to the point that the height does not matter. All that matters is the navigation, right? The height does not necessarily, well, the height can affect the can affect how much wind resistance there is or not, right? How much exposure to the elements, right, are present. And the more time you spend in a situation that's uncomfortable, the more comfortable you get with uncomfortable situations.
Man,
And as I see these elements of people uncomfortable with their situation, that they would outwardly express that discomfort, uh, I am reminded of how much practice is necessary to be comfortable in those situations that have adverse, um, less than ideal um, circumstances. And right, some people get a platform, some people get some status, some people end up with a responsibility to influence and never acknowledge it. Some folks like, I ain't trying to cause harm, I'm just trying to speak my mind. Yeah, well, the Pope can say whatever he wants. And because of his status, some folks go agree with him. Earth flat, sky red, sun is cold. Some people are like, yep, he on it again. He got it right again. Can't tell me nothing, right? Like some folks just gonna rock with it. And right, you saying right, the harm right has to be acknowledged to the point where you gotta fix some things. Like you gotta say, hey, I'm doing this wrong a little bit. Uh, but what I see is red flags in relationships that are normally dismissed by people who don't have a platform, um, di- and dismissed um, when exhibited from people who don't have a platform. Right? It's like, hey, maybe maybe they're just having a tough day. Right? Oh, so and so they they just real tired. They got a, a tough supervisor at work. So I'm gonna just call it that. I'm gonna chalk it up as emotional fatigue. I'm gonna chalk it up as you know only child syndrome. I'm gonna chalk it up as imposter syndrome. I'm gonna chalk it up as you know players mess up. And I see societal cultural gaslighting. It's like, you know what? I'm not inciting violence against this new dude in this person's life. No matter what I said, I didn't mean it that way. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just delete it, and then I'm apologize. Then I'm gonna delete the apology. You know, I just realized that people are affected by the grammar I use when I write. I just realized that if people reach out to me on a large enough scale, I can I can address my behavior. And then I can turn around and say, forget all that. I'm back to this grammar vomiting. And then I remember I need people around me to delete my outbursts. But I can understand how what I was doing can be seen as violent. But I didn't mean it that way. So I'm gonna delete all that stuff. And folks is like, oh yeah, I accept that apology. I I see that. And I get it. Like I want to forgive. Like I don't necessarily want to forget, but what I don't want to see is other people who don't have a platform enabled by this behavior and to see it as permissible. Like, oh, if so and so could do this and everybody be cool, I can say I'm working on myself too as I toss these uppercuts. Yeah, yeah, yeah. and come back tomorrow. It's like, you know what? Somebody had to tell me about myself because I didn't realize I was causing harm with these uppercuts. And right, and that could be a valid statement. But then once you realize that this behavior is violent, don't switch up to some other violent in some other form. Maybe back, spend some time reflecting. But again, right? I ain't got the platform, right? So I never lived in that space in the same way. But what I do know is that when we choose to show up in a way aware of how our words make an impact, either we become more selective with our words or we don't. And right, it's not about restriction. It's like, oh well, is what I'm saying thoughtful? Is what I'm saying helpful? Is what I'm saying important? Was what I'm saying necessary? Is what I'm saying kind? And am I using this platform today differently than I've been using it? And yeah, it's my own space. I get that. Like you said, right? There's a responsibility and accountability, right? That needs to happen. And some of that is right as a self accountability. And then we have a culture who's like, this is jokes. This is hilarious, right? These forget these kids. And that's behavior and that's mentality that a lot of those take when it comes to events and situations that children don't have a choice in. And adults be like, you know what? I'm gonna show up the same way, or I'm gonna do it this way, or I'm gonna think about my pride, my ego being bruised, and I'm gonna make this choice, and it's not gonna cross my mind at all how this is gonna affect the child that I'm responsible for in some way, or that somebody else is responsible for. And I think for me, that's the only thing like that I hope will come out of this phase of popular culture is that folks see that it's not just your financial situation that impacts children's well-being. It's how you treat people and how they see you treat people and how they hear about you treating people from others around them. And children are observant, and you think you can hide stuff from them by not exhibiting behavior in front of them, but they pick up on everything. And if they don't hear adults talking, they classmates and friends and daycare constituents and they nannies is all talking, saying stuff, side bussing, and right, it's about protecting them and equipping them to navigate this world as you cause them, the least amount of harm as possible from being your whole self.
No, that's real. That's it's a lot for. I mean, just to kind of dive in, right? Diving in. So
I'm about to. Oh wait, that's the wrong. artist. We can't even. He ain't cool either. They ain't none of them cool. They
I
all
mean, but
wild.
that's the thing, right? Like, what society have we been in that has provided, like, keeping it 100? I was in a situation discussing something about supporting another individual, right? So there's a community of stakeholders, and I'm asking the stakeholders as they're talking about this person, well, what does their supports look like at home? And they're like, yeah, it's not really there. And I'm saying this with the intention, not because I want to, because I need to know. I'm saying it because I'm trying to get them to say it out loud. So when they say things didn't go a certain way, I'm a reference what they told me, what they already knew, not what I knew.
Right.
Because if you're in a circumstance or situation and there's no one's providing you direction, guidance, no one's giving you education or awareness or knowledge or wisdom, how can I, going to what you said, right? How can I have an expectation for you to perform in a way when if I get to know you and I see where you come from and what you've been through, you don't have access to that. It wasn't accessible to you.
Yeah.
If people are enabling your behavior because they benefit from your cup overrunneth, right? Oh, because your cup overrunneth. Oh, I'm gonna give you and ensure that you able to live in a vacuum because it is benefiting me, right? Your labor, your pain, the amount of strain you go through is gonna benefit me. So I'm gonna do anything to keep you insulated. Because we live in that society. I went to school. I sat with the old record audio engineer from XYZ recording company telling me about the parties he would go to and the abundance of substances they had access to that were illegal or still are illegal to indulge and whet the appetite of all the different entertainers to keep them pacified, to keep them sustained, to keep them happy, or in this case, the shallow aspects of happiness, right? The highs as it then falls into the lows. So I've heard many, many times over about the parties and about all these different situations, not to mention my own experiences just in common everyday life growing up in a metropolitan area, right? Where, oh, we all about liberalism and thinking about the future and opening up the doors to everyone. And then you go and you look at these parties and you see the people and you see how they move and you have the conversations and you see for yourself, oh yeah, everybody hands dirty. I try to keep myself clean, and I'm realizing like, oh, I'm an outlier. I'm an outcast. I'm ostracized. I'm vulnerable because there's more people getting into the murky waters of unethical decisions than there are people who are seeking out healing and restoration of your soul and yourself and your being and your identity. So when I see celebrities, right? Like it's crazy. I was just listening to the Lauryn Hill verse on the song "Nobody" from Nas, and how Lauryn Hill is referencing being this person who has a fundamental understanding of self in a world that, the world's in crisis. You reap what you sow. Yeah, the world is crazy because the world, as it is, has invested in craziness. It has literally planted the seeds and watered in and out. It fosters this new life form, which is insanity, and it's always been that way. It's just harder and harder to escape because it's more and more accessible to see. So when I look at celebrities who I appreciate or have had some level of admiration or respect for, and now I'm like, ooh, you get involved in situations where I got to question your upbringing. I got to question what you had access to in terms of awareness and knowledge and just information and techniques and skill sets. There's so many people who are hurting right now who don't even know how to begin to understand their pain. And then we think because someone has money that absolves them from emotions, that they're somehow devoid of insecurities, that they don't have paranoia, that they don't have fear, even as they are extremely verbose in their ability to communicate how much fear they don't have and how much conviction is behind those words. There's a bond of being human, this strand that ties us together, where no matter how big or bold you think you are, there is some level of operation where you think you need to put yourself in a category or position to say those things to make yourself look like you bigger than life. To then say, oh yeah, I'm gonna commit myself to these actions and words which may be harmful, right? Then you got people who ain't got no money seeing that thinking, oh, that helps reinforce my own behavior where I don't my cup don't overrun it at all. I'm barely filling my own cup, but it's justifiable because the man I'm looking to or the woman I'm looking to or the person I'm looking to has made me feel like, yeah, I can do this too. It's justified. Let me go and act the fool. Let me say those things because yeah, I could delete it. Even if you tell me, oh, this is what was said. This is breaking news. Oh yeah, breaking news is no longer new. As soon as we heard it, it's old. We on to the next thing. Tell me you guilty without telling me you guilty. Settlement. Everybody trying to hide behind an NDA. God don't have no NDA. That's the trip. We live in a universe governed by a mass, extreme, incredible energy. Whether you want to believe in what the entity's name is or not, right? At the core of this earth, there's something you cannot touch with your bare hands. Go ahead and try. As much as you can deny what the sun can do, you know when it sets. You know when it's there. It is undeniable. You can feel it even if you can't see it. The food you eat is the byproduct of it. So, right? It's like what is it that we what are people telling themselves, right? What is it that they're feeding themselves in terms of the information, in terms of the knowledge, right? Because it is a thing where it's like, yeah, I can't expect you to have a healthy relationship, but at what point does your community have enough influence to tell you or show you, hey, maybe you need to access this because this can enrich in you, this can help you grow. Because yeah, your ego may get in the way, which to me is, I mean, that's where the devil lives. Nah, you don't need that.
Yeah, it's interesting because you can say, oh well, what is society's role in teaching, right? And then society's role in calling to attention the need for remedy. But right now, society is not regularly or habitually or culturally focused on remedy, right? They may be focused on treatment, but not focused on healing, may be focused on solution, but not focused on changing the problem.
I mean, taking it to what you said about, right, what is society's role in teaching? Tell me if you remember this or if you've heard this. You better not be. You eavesdropping? Are you listening to what I'm saying? Don't be listening to what I'm saying. Have you heard any of those statements before?
Mm, maybe the eavesdropping. Nope, I can't say. I know of those. I know of those phrases, but they have not been directed at me.
So
Um,
to me, those statements,
because how I pick and choose how I gather my information.
this man Naruto is what he's saying. This man out here on his genjutsu so strong. He's like, They ain't even know I was there, so they can't tell me what they gonna tell me. I'm
Believe it.
asleep.
That's
Believe it.
about it. That's
That they
about
like, oh. So the thing is, right? To me, that's the conundrum of society in a nutshell, right? I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna tell you not to listen, even though I know you have ears, right? I'm not gonna put you in position to not hear me, right? I'm not gonna put you in position to preoccupy or focus your attention somewhere else. I'm gonna leave myself vulnerable to expose myself where you gonna pick up on it, regardless of whether or not I want you to, because maybe we live in an environment where the walls are thin. Maybe we live in an environment where we're in such close proximity, and you may be seeking my attention where I'm getting ready to share something because I feel the need or I feel the want to. And then I have this crazy, insane, most ideological, unrational, unreasonable belief that you're not supposed to listen to what I'm saying. Right? That's society. I'm going to see you jaywalk, but don't do it. I'm going to see you kill somebody, but not think, is that something I could do? I'm going to see you do these things in society. Society. Oh, they cut me off. I'm cutting them off. Don't do it. It's getting done. And that's the thing, right? It's like telling the kid, "Don't you better not listen to me." Oh, I'm just gonna act like I ain't heard what I heard. Okay. Oh, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, and I think we gotta always think about why why do I want to keep why does someone want to keep the information from one person and not from someone else, right? Like, what is it about the relationship to right to each other, to society, to where you say, I'm going to say this, I'm going to do this, but don't see me or acknowledge me, right? Who am I trying to look pristine to? Who am I trying to be invisible to? And who am I trying to have support me, through whatever whatever issue I'm going through. And right, once I know that there's support, do I continue in the same on the same path, doing the same thing? Do I still say things the same way, expecting not to be heard as I say it, with enough volume and intention, right, to be heard? Right? It's like, okay, if I don't want nobody to hear me, I just ain't gonna say it. Right? It's like there's some calculation that happens, right? And for some situations, right, like for art, right, it's like you said, right, it's like I can acknowledge what someone has built and appreciate that. But right, the harm that people cause, it's like I'm like, one, I can't be a fan of someone that I don't know, right? I could be a fan of their work, I can be a fan of their product, but I got nothing to know, or I have no avenue, to know about someone's personality, fully aware of, lifestyle boundaries. It's like, okay, I don't know what these celebrities and their swinger lifestyle is like. Like, I don't know what none of that's like. I don't know. I don't need to know. You know, maybe one day, like, what I know can protect me, but for the most part, Like I have to acknowledge my own boundaries, right? Because I want to continue to celebrate the art or the product, right? I say this boundary is important to me, right? Right? It's particular R&B artists, right, that I want to listen to, right? But right now, I don't have the emotional boundary that I would like to have to listen to them. And because that boundary is not set, right, I have to create distance, right? Because that boundary is not set, they can't exist, right, in my life right now. And right, as you set the boundary that people where people feel free and reactive and somewhat sovereign in their life, it's like, yeah, go ahead, stay that way. Because me fully aware of this part of your lifestyle, character, or whatever, right? I I need this boundary, right? And with this boundary, it will allow us to interact, with this much, available for either of us to invest. It's like, okay, if we just gonna be in the studio and make music, that's what it is. Don't need to be nothing more than that. Be fully aware, right, and in agreement, right, that that's the interaction. That's the boundary. That's what it is. And as long as we are in agreement about the boundaries, right, we can interact, right, for an infinite amount of time, unless, right, time is a part of the agreement, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to listen to some of my favorite creatives, who are at a peak of their career in the 60s, 70s, 80s, right? Not knowing what their personal life is like, right? If I took the time to dive into who they were, then, right, I would have to, right, acknowledge and take accountability for what healing could, should happen. I say, oh, actually, this song is kind of shady. Do other people know about this? Actually, this this show is actually really violent. Do other people know about this? Oh man, well, this artist is really causing harm to people. Do other people know about that? But like you said, right? We're not even there. We're not even at that point of society saying, "Hey, this is a mass message, right? Mass text saying, uh, this this can work out different for you. This can work out better for you. This is this is what can help you while still bonded with us, but an acceptable boundary has been erected."
I think what's crazy is that the boundary piece, right, is a self-imposed thing that not everyone's really aware of, right? It's something that like I didn't even realize I was setting boundaries Didn't even know to call them boundaries as I developed them. But that's what they
Right.
are.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a defense mechanism to protect myself from harm. Initially for myself, that's what it was. I'm like, I'm being harmed and I'm not even calling it harm. I'm just like, I don't rock with you. I can't stand you. I can't be around you. I can't talk to you. I need to stay away from you. Oh, you causing me harm and I need to create a boundary.
That's it.
I love you, but what we had, we no longer have. And that goes
Mm.
for everybody, family, friends, romantic interests, you call it whatever you want to. But yeah, that happens. I can continue to love you and not be around you. My love does not die or fade away for you. What happens is I have a need to nourish myself and take care of my well being, and you're no longer a part of my wellness. You may never have been a part of my wellness, right? We may have found each other and had built something off of mutual interests, mutual feelings, mutual circumstances, shared philosophies. And then I learned either I'm harmful to you, we're harmful to each other, or you're harmful to me.
Mm.
So I got to get away. Because I can recognize when I'm being harmful. I can recognize when it's this mutual combat, and I can see when it's not mutual at all.
Mutual
Intended.
combat.
Do 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 do. Well, it wouldn't be fatality; it'd be critical criticisms, insecurity, emotional harm. That's what they would say when they say finish them. But really going
Boundary made.
boundary made. That would be the babyality or the friendship. Boundary made. Dun, 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 dun. So thinking of that, keeping that in mind, and then extending that into celebrity, because like I'm wearing a mask. Don't get it twisted. You see me here now. I'm finna turn up on y'all. This ain't like you don't like you can never comprehend until it happens, right? It's like there's a movie, right? I'm not gonna say the name of it, but there's a comment in it, and it say, "Oh, there ain't no comment," and then what happened? People see the comment, and then it's like, "Oh my goodness, what do we do? It's too late." That's me. That's me in the most loving, restorative, healing way. That's me. So as I say that, in the scope of celebrity, this mask is the boundary between my personal self and whatever the content creator or the music maker or the person who shows up for the public. That's the boundary. You don't get the face, you get the mask. That's it. I'm not here to have you, oh, he's so cute, he's so handsome, he's so this, he's so that, he
Right.
ugly, he hurt. I'm not playing into your subjective nature of what celebrity is, right? So you can weigh that into whatever I put, right? These are words, right? You can't then associate it to your Eurocentric, Afrocentric, any centric standards of beauty to then classify me based off of what your preference for what I physically, genetically, or if I decide to modify myself look like. But celebrity, right? Celebrity is saying, you ordinary person, where we already have a limited understanding and comprehension of the human mind, we about to put you on a platform where you have so much influence that you could cause people to commit harm to themselves and others around them because you identified it as the thing to do. You have
Mm.
so much influence that you can generate an exorbitant amount of wealth that far exceeds any one person's grasp. Yet you have it, right? Because of the level of influence. It's not to take away from the work you put in to get to that point, but it is to say there is something like increasingly wrong where we have either people who are public figures, right? Politicians or celebrities. You're sitting here governing so many different things, whether you're an artist, an actor, a model, whether you become the CEO that people are familiar with. You have now become an entity that people will reference and use as a motivating factor in their lives. I could take any. Instagram post and see how people will repurpose something and just put a face on it. And now that becomes a part of this larger brand and narrative of this person. That
Right.
to me is insane. We already see when you put too many people in the same place how it just seems to be destructive when there's no mutual agreement of who is in the area or in the space. Oh, you got more than I got. You got less than me, right? You were raised, you believe, whatever the case may be. And now what happens? We have conflict, disagreement, right? It's less harmonious. And that is the conundrum of celebrity. So then I'm supposed to be like, oh yeah, you're not supposed to do things that are bad because people don't do things that are bad. People don't make mistakes. People know. People have common sense because sense is common. Obviously, sense is
Mm.
just common across the board. Like whether you live in Montana, whether you live in Hawaii, whether you live in Russia, whether you live in a hut or you live in a mansion, the sense that you have, the comprehension, the rationale, it's common. Common sense. Y'all wild. Y'all wild. Y'all y'all collectively. If you think common sense is even a phrase that even makes sense, you think that that has any like real impact on the commentary we have as a society, you wildin'. What? Common sense?
Right. But that's why folks, gotta acknowledge the dangers, right, of the world. It's like, because if they don't, then they are outside, right, with all the threats. And people will be like, oh, well, that's okay. And you like, no, really, it's not okay. They actually are wild. They actually are not doing enough to protect themselves and those around them. And whether it's celebrity, or entitlement, or supervisor position, people will take whatever little bit they got and try to get a little more. And the more that happens, right, the more disjointed, the more you know divided, segregated uh, the community becomes. And I think for myself, understanding what I want community to, I guess, feel like, wanting to know what I know, have an idea of what I want community to feel like, it helps me set boundaries, right? Like you said, I need, like for you, right? You didn't even know that weren't necessarily calling them, boundaries, but you were looking to protect yourself. And right, you can imagine if you were choosing instead to not create those boundaries and you are out where the threats are, right? Engaging in all the things that, could potentially harm you or had harmed you. All the different, interactions and people that were contributing to your harm or self-harm, right? You can picture when those boundaries were being made and say, okay, I was wild. I was wild and too. And maybe because I was wild and early, I learned early, you know, maybe because people are wild and now, they will learn soon. As business owners, acknowledge those threats. And right, I was in a conversation, part of a conversation today with one of my elder siblings, and right, it's not the we were talking about how it's not the United States of employees, right? It's not the United States of jobs, right? It's it's a business model, right? So if you create more consumers, right? Because employees, what do they do more? Anything, right? Employees have income, they don't have revenue, right? Employers, right, make more consumers, right? Say, oh well, employers like, oh well, if I could get these tax breaks and this tax break and this tax breaks, right? I don't really got to think about my employers paying taxes. That ain't my job, right? That's their job. My employees, I mean my employees paying taxes. My employees, they got to figure it out for themselves. And then, right, for celebrities, right, they are the business. They create businesses. Then everyone around them, right, tries to not be a consumer, but really, right, they are if they are provided in some kind of service, right, for the millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire. They're like, oh, well, can you go to the grocery store? Right? Okay, well, I'm a consumer, right? I'm not creating, position for someone who's going to make money and spend it, right? That's what business does, right? Creates employees who then going to spend the money. But like my sibling said, businesses don't want to pay taxes because they just put all these other people on to pay taxes. It's like I just gave you 500 employees, America. I just gave you 5,000 employees, America. I just gave you 30,000 employees, America. They paying taxes. What I got to pay taxes for? I gave you 100,000 employees.
Because you
That's
make
all.
200 times more than your employees.
Yeah, but it's not America. But that's what I'm supposed to do because I created a business. I can get
Yeah,
new
so
employees.
yeah, so
They
based off the
I,
tip,
I'll be fine, right? I'll be fine without them. They won't be
you
fine
ain't gonna
without
be
me.
fine without them. Because now, when you ain't got them, guess what? Your profits is gonna go less. It's
No,
gonna
I'm gonna get new. I'm
decrease.
gonna get new ones.
Oh, that's right. Because you right. Somebody gonna be stupid and turn 17 and not know nothing about life, and they gonna be like, "I'm supposed to get a job." You
I'm
right.
gonna get a whole new generation
Yeah,
of
you right.
coming out of school looking for
I
work.
need a job. I need to get a job because people told me I'm supposed to work.
Right, exactly, because it's the United States of business. It's the United States of businesses,
You right.
right? They
Right.
right they they's like, oh, I ain't about to pay taxes to the
And if
king
you
on
can't take
property. I'm
it,
gonna go somewhere where they pay me.
and not even
So
just
let's
that,
let's
right?
let's cross the Atlantic Ocean and let's get paid instead of paying the king. We gonna get paid.
If you big enough, right, you get bailed out, right? Socialism works for the rich, right? When you think about it, right? Yeah, oh, my business is hurting, but I've created and I've generated so much wealth that now I'm gonna go ask the government to help bail me out. Not the employees who I may have stolen wages from, not the ones who may be in debt, not the ones who maybe weren't provided the same attributes or benefits as I did to even get to this point, and I get to get bailed out to do it again.
Arsenio, I'm a business. I ain't gotta ask.
Oh, that's real.
I
You
ain't
just
gotta
gonna
ask
get
them
it.
to build me out. They want to build me out because I make consumers. I make positions for people who spend money, right? Because a consumer, right? It's like only thing consumer, right? It's like, oh, just have some more kids,
Have some kids. You
right?
can't take care of them, and you know what?
That's
You don't need to. Let them come work for me.
because now they ain't gotta work for me. We got programs that'll get them money to spend. we they gotta work for me. That's cool. You like
Just buy it.
just
Just
yeah.
buy it.
We got you to
Don't do it. Just buy it.
we got dollar stores and 99 cent stores. We got Walmarts. We got what you need
Yeah. Besides drinkable water,
to buy. Now you can buy that.
you could buy bottled water in a plastic bottle.
Yeah. Don't worry about don't worry about that.
Don't worry about where it came from. Just know
We
you got
want
it.
we want you to be a consumer, right? So
We got a
because we
planet made of water and a body made of water, but we got to pay for it.
because of where you live,
You right? Because if I was able to build a well where there's a flow of fresh water, and I bought the land, and I can afford it, then
right?
I got
Then
water.
right when you start to leave from where you started, right? Where you paying taxes and say, you know what? I'm gonna go get something for my own thing, right? Then you doing what the people who started the country is doing. It's like I ain't about to pay you. I'm gonna go somewhere and get paid. And that's the American dream, right? It's like it's not a house and a home. It's not a house with a picket fence. It's not a family in a home with a white picket fence and 2.5 kids. That's not it. The the American way, right? It's not life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Is what Joel Santana say. Do what you do and make it work for you. And that's whether you in the Oval Office, right? That's the DMV, the the retail apparel store, the streetwear store, the fast food spot, the pizza spot, the paint store, Benjamin Moore, In and Out, Chick-fil-A. You know, do what you do and make it work for you. If you a hustler, hustle all the way to the halftime Super Bowl halftime crew where you could produce the show and get you a cut while the performers do it for free. Not just for free where they gotta pay for their own set because it's a once in a lifetime chance to get 177 million people watching, 122 million people watching you all at the same time, and then for the next couple weeks, years in history. So go ahead and pay for it yourself. Go ahead and pay to have a fake house built over the city you grew up in, over the projects you grew up in, with a bird's eye view. Go ahead and pay for that because you know what? You ain't creating as many jobs as I am, and because I used to be a nonprofit with these sport teams. I'm not a nonprofit no more because I was like, let me play a little ball after 100 years, you know. So now we'll switch it up, but I'm still making jobs, right? You know what? I'm gonna create Play 60, and I'm gonna create jobs for kids. Cause I got all these arenas, and I got these training camp facilities. But you know what? We got to get into high schools and the middle schools, so we get the high school and the college kids to coach the elementary school kids and call it a program that's benefiting them. And you know what? We can create some more jobs
Cold
that create
blooded.
income, so they can spend the money.
Cold
And as
blooded.
long as I'm making more consumers, I'm doing my part for the government, right? So if I turn myself, me, and my family into an LLC, and I start making employees, you know what? Then I'm gonna start getting treated like an American, right? I can't be white wealthy and a property owner, but I could probably get two out of the three on my way, because
I'm about to go.
that's
I'm
who the
about to
country is
go.
made for.
I'm gonna go to Yosemite and I'm gonna go get some aliens. And I'm just getting out of here. Yep, that's about it.
But that's all right. That's what you know what? That's exactly how America was made. It's just like that. Say
Cause just
we
like
gonna
that, I'm out. I'm
we
going
we
over
we
here.
gonna get out. We gonna get out of here. We gonna get some folks that don't look like us, and we gonna build some.
Nah, I mean, man, like it's so like the craziest part. Like just to say the truth, because it's just the truth, and this is not. This isn't my truth. This is what I inherited. They, 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 whoever they are, those in power, has benefited from the ones that came before that did the dirty work, right? That killed, that took, that created, like they created documents that reinforced what they stole and what they killed and what they took, right?
Yeah, he's like, oh man, we got this. Make sure you write that down.
We gonna
Oh,
make
hold
it,
on. Like
yeah, we gonna write it down and make it real, right?
how
Even
many
though you
how
was
many of these?
here, you was living here, you was undisturbed. Guess what? Now we coming in with a system, a different system, different than what you got, and we're gonna impose it on you, right? And then we gonna act like we sorry about 7 generations later. We're gonna be like, oh, we so here's a holiday. We know most of your people dead, and we killed most of them, and we so sorry. I can't be held accountable for my great grandparents did, but I can benefit from it. I can benefit. I could benefit from what they gave me. I could benefit from what they started. I could benefit from the foundation. I'm not gonna give up the foundation. I'm not gonna give a piece up of the foundation. I'm not gonna give back any bit of this foundation, let alone the whole structure that I'm standing on. But I'm gonna say, I'm so sorry. Even though I can't be held accountable for what they did, I still benefit from their actions. Yeah, that's the way this is everywhere, right? It'd be a cold day in wherever if the poorest of us, those without, had the ability to destroy everything, because topsy turvy don't begin to explain what we will be living in, right? One, like the scope and the size of destruction that this structure, this society we invested in, this government, right? Like that's literally what it is. It's like just who got the biggest gun, right? And we as and that's not to create hysteria because I don't know. But just imagine if we ain't the one with the biggest gun no more. Imagine if we ain't the one with the biggest stick, right? We ain't got the biggest bomb. We ain't got the biggest thing to kill, right? What happens when they like, hey, remember all those people we let come over there and take like we let them go on a work visa? Remember those people you had? Guess what? They came back home with the information. They came back home with the education. They came back home with the level of experience to create a structure that not only rivals yours, but they were the foundation of those structures. And now we got the structure. Now we got the new stick. We got the bigger stick. Guess what? Stick time. You thought you had
stick
the biggest stick.
stick
We
ball.
got the new stick. We got the stick you ain't heard of, right? Imagine that, right? We living in that time where it's like it's that could be happening, but because we can go and look at the whatever sports team or distraction of the day or pacification entertainment unit that we got going on, right? It's like, oh yeah, no, we good. It's good. I could watch this happen. My health may be failing, but guess what? They're gonna have a commercial come on that's gonna give me some medication that's gonna pacify me even more. Yeah, we good. We good out here. We good. Man, y'all but nah, y'all ain't gotta do nothing. Y'all can if you dig the music, right, just listen to it. You know what I'm saying? You dig the podcast, listen to it, right? You when the mask starts to sell, you can buy one. I got pins for sale if you want them. They $10 each. They forged in some type of metallic armament. Um Probably repurposed or recycled for the medieval ages that makes the value go up even more. I can't prove or deny any of the things that I just stated, but if you believe it enough, it could be true. And then if you find out that it is, guess what? You benefit even more. So, with all that being said, you know, yeah, let's consume to no end. It's all good. Get what you can. Take a piece, get a lot. I got it to give. Um so yeah, episode 88. Alpha, you got any final words or thoughts for the people of Lyrical Ones?
Yes. Choose wisely your reason and your why for as much, for as many choices as possible, right? Intentionality, mindfulness, right? Mindset, right? Yes. But grasp hold of your choice. And instead of tearing yourself down for the choices you made, encourage yourself for the choices to come. Um, Prepare your heart and your resolve and whatever equipment you may need for the choices to come. RPGs is great. It's like, man, that slime served me. But I went and did this side quest, got this little bit of change, upgraded my stick to a club, and it's on now. And it's like wherever you fail, right? Just be in that alpha test mode, fail fast, find all the kinks, and get back to it. Say, oh well, you know what? This relationship is like that last relationship, but I'm gonna upgrade this and I'm gonna upgrade that. And I did this side quest and I learned some things about myself. And now I'm gonna upgrade my experience by acknowledging the choices that I made before and encouraging myself for the choices ahead. Like, ain't nothing to regret. It's all lessons. Matter of fact, it's all blessings.
It's one blessing.
88.
Episode 88. As we often do at this time, as I scramble for mine. Just, do what you gotta do. Live how you wanna live. And
88.
it's all right. I struggle to get this thing popping, but we get it popping. Gonna have to figure out what's the next era of it is as this gets closer to the completion of
Ooh.
100.
Or is it
100.
the beginning of 100? One, 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 one.